The second best quarterback in the 2023 NFL Draft is Bryce Young of Alabama. I like both of these quarterbacks at the top of this list. I think both deserve to be top 5 picks in this 2023 NFL Draft. But at number 2, I have to go with Bryce Young. And there's one major factor as to why. His size is a big weakness. If you do not believe that size does not matter at the NFL level, you are mistaken. It's very rare that a small quarterback is a good quarterback. And not only is good, but lasts a long time. And a quarterback like Bryce Young has just never really ever been seen before. He is maybe a rarity, potentially. He has the skill to compensate for his size. But would that make him the best quarterback in this class? The number 1 pick? Personally, no, because he has more downside than I think people are allowing themselves to believe. A lot of people want to believe that Bryce Young is that dude, that he is special. But you must have a reality to it, and you must be able to see both sides. So I see both sides. Let's break down what I see when it comes to Bryce Young. So first of all, the size is a major question. He is very, very small. Like, I'm talking tiny for an NFL quarterback. He is smaller than me. He is 5'10", and he is barely 200 pounds, and that's soaking wet. Okay, that is having a lot of water before that weigh-in, right? He is short, and he is skinny, okay? He does not have a lot of bulk to him. This is not Russell Wilson. Some people may make you believe that. This is not Russell Wilson. Have you seen Russell Wilson's rear end? I mean, that guy has junk in the trunk, okay? He is not that. He is skinny, he is tiny, he is slim, okay? And with that, you have to be concerned about the NFL level and how pockets may collapse on him, and throwing the ball with power may be a massive question over the middle of the field, because we've seen shorter quarterbacks struggle with the ability to throw at the intermediate level down the middle of the field, especially when under pressure and the pocket is collapsing. What is he as a quarterback, though? He is a distributor with strong accuracy and timing, especially within 5 to 12 yards. Within that area of the field, he might be the best quarterback in this class. He has a quick release and gets it out quick. He is smart, very smart. And he is an incredible, innate, natural playmaker who plays really well in rhythm. When he is feeling himself, he is tough to stop. In terms of positives and strengths, to me, it starts with his toughness. So why do I believe he will be able to overcome his size? Because if I believe he's the second best quarterback in this class, and I believe he should be the number 2 pick in this draft, I believe to some degree that he should be able to overcome his size. Because, like I said, I don't know if there's been a smaller quarterback that's played at a high level in the NFL. So this guy would have to be some sort of outlier. And I believe his toughness is the first reason why he could be an outlier. Because he takes a ton of hits versus Texas, versus Georgia. I was at the Texas game. I was impressed by his toughness. His ability to hang in the pocket, his ability to move around and by the extra second, throw and get hit, be able to get back up and seemingly be fine and never really get injured throughout his college career. So all those things in terms of toughness. Mental, extremely tough. Being able to withstand pressure, being able to withstand, the noise of the road crowd when you're the Alabama quarterback and all the world and pressure is on you and eyes are on you. Mentally, he's extremely tough. In all situations, he's composed, he's calm. I love that about his game. I also love how physically tough he is. As small as he is, he doesn't ever seem to be beat up. So that's good. Now, college, NFL, different animal in terms of athletes you're facing on a weekly basis, but still, that's a good start. Now, he also faced a lot of teams and defenses, I would say, that game plan specifically for his style of play. Knowing that he's smaller, he's already seen a ton of defenses that have game planned for potentially what you would conceive as his weaknesses. I especially thought that Texas did a good job of kind of containing him in that second game of the year last year, where seeing how they were trying to blitz him and attack him up the middle of the pocket and try to contain him within the pocket to try to get him to get hits. And I thought he did a really good job of navigating it. And, he's played Georgia, really good defenses. And I felt like he's done a really good job of trying to, overcome other teams, knowing how good he is, right? Because Bryce, as the quarterback of Alabama for basically 2 years, was like the dude in college football, right? So a lot of teams had the book on him at college, but they still couldn't beat him a lot of the time. Or if they did, it wasn't really his fault, to be fair. He has, to me, what really stood out is just a great natural feel as a quarterback. His feel and his feet and his ability to move, his pocket presence, his ability to manipulate pressure in like a Mahomesian, Russell Wilson type of way is extremely special. I think that jumps out at you every time you watch him. His natural playmaking and athleticism from a quickness, twitchiness standpoint is extremely impressive. He has extremely strong sack avoidance. I think he's probably the best in this class at avoiding sacks. Him and Richardson really stood out in this regard, in my opinion. His twitch to avoid sacks is second to none. He looks a lot like Deshaun Watson in this area to me, except he's smaller, which might actually help him because he's so small. It's a small target to hit. He's really savvy in how he can manipulate rushers and find ways to slip out of the pocket when he sees pressure coming underneath, or his ability to dip under pressure if he sees them going over top. He's very savvy at finding lanes as a smaller quarterback to throw the football. And I think that will serve him well at the NFL level. That's something that Mahomes does extremely well, is his ability to, if there's an edge rusher coming and looping around, he dips underneath, he finds the lane, he throws sidearm. And in combination with that, Bryce Young does a very good job and the best in this class at differing and delivering the ball in different ways. So he can, like I said, dip under pressure, throw the ball sidearm, or step up and look like he's going to run and then throw the ball, with barely any of his legs, really to have anything to do with it. A lot of it to do with his arm and his delivery and the flexibility in his arm that I said a guy like Will Levis does not have, okay? So I love those two skills in combination. You could be really good at avoiding sacks, really good at manipulating pressure, but not very good at delivering the football in a multitude of ways. When you have both of these skills as a smaller quarterback, it makes me believe that I'll have more faith in you to succeed at the NFL level, because you'll be able to pass the ball under pressure without having to set and take a hit, which is one of my issues with Tua, because Tua is a smaller quarterback, but he does not have the skill that Bryce Young has as a passer, okay? Now, he's very calm under pressure. He's always looking downfield. It never feels like pressure is getting to him or he's ever rushed in his process. He's always taking his sweet time to get the ball to where it needs to go. Now, that could be a negative sometimes, but we'll get to that. Okay, pre-snap, he is very strong. He's the best quarterback in this class before the snap of the football. Reading defenses, sending a guy out in motion. Okay, I've got this matchup. This is man coverage. I think a lot of this comes from learning from Bill O'Brien. As a Patriots fan, I know Bill O'Brien is a wizard in terms of teaching quarterbacks matchups, teaching quarterbacks protections, teaching quarterbacks the offense and the details of pre-snap communication. Bryce Young is very good at this, and he is the best in this class. He has really good eyes scanning the field from read 1 through read whatever, 4, whatever. So going through his reads 1, 2, 3, 4, he's able to do that soundly, effectively, consistently. He's good with his eyes in terms of manipulating safeties as well and looking one way, throwing the other. Just being a gamer in that facet. And he also has incredible field vision in terms of his playmaking vision. So not just vision to see all the throws when he's in the pocket, but also his ability when he's escaping pressure to still find the open man and identify that guy, which is really hard to do. So not only does he have the skill to manipulate pressure and throw off of different angles, but he also has the vision to see the open man. Now, I don't want to get to the negatives before I get there, but I wish he would evolve on where he sometimes goes with the ball. Because a lot of the times he will escape pressure, dip around, throw the ball sidearm, whatever. But it will be like a 3-yard check down and that guy runs for like 8 yards. Sometimes I'd like to see that next level if he can try to get the ball down the field more. Sometimes he reluctantly checks it down or he doesn't try to force the ball down the field. Sometimes I think he could make more throws, more aggressive decisions down the field. Okay, so that leads us into the next area of strengths. He learned how to set protections under Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien ran a lot of Patriot offensive stuff in the drop back passing game. There was a lot of RPOs and other things from Alabama, but Bill O'Brien did bring some Patriot offense to the Alabama offense, and Bryce Young did a really good job of setting protections. He's the only guy in this class that I saw do this at all. And it's rare that a quarterback in college actually is asked to set protections. Usually that's on the center or the offensive line. And from what I saw from a lot of these quarterbacks in this class, a lot of them don't even really know what to do on hot situations, blitz situations, and where to go with the ball. I mean, I struggled to see that with Richardson and Levis. So Bryce Young does a good job at seeing the blitz before it comes, what to do with the ball when the blitz comes, and then also before a pressure even comes, identifying it and helping his offensive line identify the pressure. He just processes a lot of information, both pre-snap and post-snap. And I love all these things about him. I mean, I'm a Tom Brady fan. Okay, that's my favorite quarterback of all time. So if you're a very smart quarterback, I will be a fan of you. And that's what I see from Bryce Young. He does a good job of just taking what's there. This was another big Tom Brady trait. But anything that's open underneath, Bryce Young is going to throw it. Sometimes he tries to create a bigger throw down the field, and maybe he should move on from it faster. Maybe he should just learn to take the underneath throw at the NFL level so he doesn't have to take unnecessary hits and things of that nature. And things can close fast in the NFL, so it's hard to always be that playmaker, but he is mostly pretty good at just taking what's there and living to see another day. He doesn't force a lot of passes, and I think that comes into play, especially because he is so good at getting away from pressure that he can throw the ball away or scramble or make a throw that isn't as risky as the one that's maybe on the platter or the first or second read, right? Then after that, he doesn't struggle at all at staying on a primary receiver. So he doesn't just stay on that primary receiver. He doesn't stare them down. A lot of young quarterbacks have an issue with that, moving on to the next progression, moving on to the next receiver, or just simply making a better decision, scramble, or doing something else. He's accurate on the move. I think he's the most accurate quarterback on the move in this class, throwing on the run. And even to his left, he threw a lot of nice passes to his left, moving to his left. He has great feel and playmaking ability, sees things at the last second that rarely other players ever see, and can adjust and make accurate throws on the move despite his body language or his mechanics. He's extremely patient, sometimes too patient. He's slick and smooth on RPOs. Really good in the RPO game, kind of like Tua at Alabama, where they're just really slick, get it out there quick, accurately, all that. He has a nice little juke move in space. When he gets in space and he's scrambling, he can put a little move on you because of his quickness. And I did feel his team was better in 2021 than 2022. So that kind of comes into play of looking at some of his tape. He, I think, more so had to carry his team in 2022 than he did in 2021, where I thought his team was absolutely loaded, especially on offense. None of his receivers, to me, really stood out this past season. He had some good players, really good running back, but I wasn't blown away on tape by the receivers I was watching out of Alabama, the way that I was blown away by some of the Ohio State receivers, Marvin Harrison in particular. But I feel like the Alabama offense, the scheme is better than Ohio State. The scheme was probably the best of the quarterbacks I saw in terms of just intricate, detailed drop-back passing game. But that also goes to show that he can handle detailed NFL, traditional drop-back passing game and be able to handle pre-snap, post-snap responsibilities. Okay, so those things are positives and negatives. Negatives, weaknesses. Pressure in his face is a bit of a problem. If he's not able to move out of the way, okay, if he has to stand there and make a throw with pressure coming at him, his velocity is lost a lot of the time, and his arm is just not strong enough to be able to power throw the ball in the middle of the field. And I noticed that a lot against good teams, okay, really good defenses, where he's under duress up the middle and the D-line's got a good contain, doesn't let him get out. You've got to stand here like Tom Brady and you've got to throw the ball and get crunched. And he just does not have the arm or the size to be able to be that type of quarterback, okay? His arm does have more power and pop, especially the more I watched it than I would have thought. But he is not the best power thrower. He's not a great power thrower. And what I mean by that is he's not going to have the most zip on tight window throws. And that can be somewhat a problem at the NFL level, because if you have to fit the ball into a tight window, you have to be able to throw that ball with velocity. And his velocity is good. It's fine. It's nothing special. It's especially good in short to intermediate throws, but definitely lacking on deep passes. Okay? Because of his size, he does bail out of the pocket sometimes too quickly. That might just be a necessity. Okay? He puts more noticeable force into throws. You notice him trying to force the ball with power than somebody like CJ Stroud or really any of these other quarterbacks in the top 5, in my opinion. His mechanics and the way he throws the ball, you see him forcing the ball. He has a stronger arm than somebody like Tua, though. Like, if you're comparing him to Alabama quarterbacks, I think his arm is similar to Mac. It might even be slightly stronger than Mac's, but it's definitely stronger than Tua's, okay? A lot of time on a lot of throws. And that's the thing with me, right? So he usually finds somebody to throw to, but he has a lot of time. And it maybe masks, I'm not certain about this, but it might mask some of the deficiencies that you would see at the NFL level if his process is always sped up, he may struggle because he's so good at playmaking that that's not always going to be there for him if he doesn't have a great O-line. Okay, so I do think whoever drafts him, and I think Carolina and Houston are both in good position. They both have good offensive lines. So I think if you're a Texans fan, you shouldn't be too worried about that as long as you continue to have the protection that you do have, I think, right now. So especially, I would say more so on the interior, but I mean, that might be a preference thing. I don't exactly know. What else we got here in terms of negatives? So he won't be able to run a lot at the NFL level. He did scramble quite a bit in key situations in college, and I think he can do that a little bit, but I don't think he's going to run away from anybody. He's not that fast, and he's not like explosive in open space. He's not Kyler Murray. I think a lot of people look at him and they look at the draft stock of where people think he's going to go, and they assume he's Kyler Murray. But Kyler Murray is like different. Like that guy's like the road runner on the NFL field. Bryce Young's a much different player. He's more of a distributor, and he's more of a high IQ player. Kyler Murray is more just an athlete, even though he's small, which is rare. But they're definitely different players. And Kyler's able to run away from people. Bryce Young can't. So don't expect Bryce Young to run very much. He might run a couple times a game, but that's about it. Okay? He more so runs or scrambles to throw the ball. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's what Mahomes does. That's what Josh Allen does. That's what Joe Burrow does. So that's what most of the greatest quarterbacks in this game today do. He doesn't throw the ball down the field a lot. He prefers to throw the ball over the middle of the field, short and intermediate range. So if you have a good, intricate, detailed passing game, he could be an excellent distributor, an accurate playmaking distributor of the football at that position. But if you're in a shot offense where you're running the ball a ton and then you're looking to throw the ball deep, he's not a fit. There's better fits for that offense than Bryce Young. I am worried a little bit about him consistently taking hits in the NFL because of his size. I saw Tua get concussed 3 times this year or whatever it was. I'm a little bit worried about if he gets hit, and he's going to get hit hard, how he's able to deal with that at some point. He is not super accurate. Like you would think for a guy that's smaller, more of a pocket passer, as smart as he is, he's mechanically sound and consistent. But his placement with the football is somewhat inconsistent. He's not Drew Brees in terms of his pinpoint accuracy and mechanical nature. He's accurate enough, especially at college, but I wonder how that may change at NFL because, like it's not always a perfect pass. Like there's a more accurate quarterback in this class, in my opinion. He sometimes, like, if he should throw it here, he throws it like here, right? So there's slight differences. I never really see him throw consistent, perfect accuracy passes the way that a Peyton would throw it, or Brady or Breeze or Burrow now does. Like, he doesn't have pinpoint accuracy, but he's accurate, okay? I hope that makes sense. He plays off balance a little bit too often. He tries to throw, like, when he doesn't need to, even in the pocket with time, he tries to, like, throw off balance. And that affects his arm strength, in my opinion, and sometimes allows him to miss throws that he should make. And lastly, he has a lot of plays where he impresses with avoidance and ability to move, but then he doesn't make a super impressive throw. Like, he'll rather throw it away or he'll throw it short, and it doesn't really amount for anything, but he still made like this incredible play before he threw it. So his play before the throw is more impressive than the throw, if that makes sense. It's not a Mahomes thing where it's like he moves subtly and even impressively, but then the throw is like, wow, how did he do that? Or like Justin Herbert, where he like slides around the pocket, moves to the right, throws a sidearm laser 35 yards. Bryce Young can't do that, okay? And that's why when I get to the overview, I don't see him ever being elite in the NFL because he doesn't have the physical talent. He doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the arm strength. He doesn't even have the accuracy to be none of these things, okay, in my opinion, at an elite level. He's not bad in terms of accuracy, arm strength. I'm not worried about it, but I'm not excited about it. I'm not overjoyed, right? His size is a major concern. His speed is good for, like, the average quarterback. For a guy his size, it's concerning, right? I was concerned about Baker Mayfield's speed. I was concerned about Johnny Manziel's speed. But his style of play is different. If you put him in an offense where he's in a very schematically sound offense, drop back passing game, RPOs, quick passing, intermediate short, spread offense, he'll be a good quarterback. And he'll be a very smart distributor, and you can win a lot of games with him as long as he can stay healthy and you protect him. But if you're asking him to be Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar, he won't be able to just overcome bad protection, bad receivers, like a bad scheme for his skill set. He is not that type of player. And as smart as he is, he doesn't have the arm like, a top upper echelon pocket passer that you would see in the traditional NFL. He doesn't have the accuracy like that guy. He doesn't have the size, right? When you think of those type of guys, right? He doesn't have the release of Dan Marino. He doesn't have the arm strength of a Brett Favre. He doesn't have the accuracy of Tom Brady. So he's a good player. And I do think he is a top 2 quarterback without a doubt, because he has a lot higher floor than somebody like Richardson, and he has a lot to like about his game. But I just wonder if he has enough physical ability to have the upside that some other people feel he does. I don't think he's a franchise-changing quarterback. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, okay? So I see him in the NFL for many years, as long as he can stay healthy, being a top 15-ish quarterback, okay? But I'm probably not picking him first overall in this draft.